Hi, I'm Shoestring Jay, and welcome back to my channel where I talk about all things thrifty, frugal, money saving, and money making. Get your teeth in, Jay. I'm struggling to speak today. I don't know why. I feel quite tired. It's a lovely day again today. We've had howling winds and driving rain after a couple of days of sunshine, and I've got just put this jumper on because I'm sitting here in April feeling really very chilly, so I've put another layer on. So anyway, I do try to keep my bills down, as you know, and one of the reasons I keep my bills down is because I am self-employed and I don't have the luxury of a regular salary and knowing exactly how much I'm going to get coming in every month like I used to when I worked for the local council. Having said that, when they offered me voluntary redundancy in 2019, I could not wait to do that. I jumped at the chance, and that was because I was fairly confident of making enough money to survive because I had lots of side hustles and things going at the time that I could kind of make into my full-time job. So that's what I've done. And I have to say that quitting the 9 to 5 and working for myself has been one of the best things I've ever done. I couldn't have done it when we still had a mortgage. I need to say that because if you are relying on your salary to pay the mortgage, then you really, really have to hustle to make it work and to earn enough money really to do the kind of things that I do anyway. I mean, you can start a business doing various other things that earn more money, I think, anyway, than the ideas that I'm going to perhaps suggest. Some of them I've done, some of them I do, and some of them I know other people who've done successfully. So I thought I'd run through some ideas of jobs you can do either as a side hustle or that you can put together to make your career path, if you like. You might not want to call it a career. You can kind of put them together to create enough of an income so that you don't have to work for somebody else, do really regular hours, you have a bit more flexibility in your life and that kind of thing. So the first one I will mention is reselling. So if you've seen my hauls, you'll know that I buy stuff and I sell it online to make a profit. And I did that alongside my full-time job just to make extra money. I started off just doing our stuff, selling our things that we didn't use anymore, especially when the girls were here. There was always lots of clothes and handbags and shoes and things to get rid of. So I started off doing that. Then I kind of realised that I could actually make a bit of an income from this, and I started watching some resellers on YouTube. So I think the big one is Nick and Andrea Hills, so it's really worth checking out their channel. Andrea has her own separate channel where she does kind of focuses on the sort of thing that I sell, vintage collectibles and that kind of thing. So they are very successful, they make it their career. I do think actually if both of you are doing it together, it kind of does make it easier, but it also obviously you're putting all your eggs in one basket as well, so in some ways perhaps it doesn't make it easier. Now watch Married to Reselling. They're another reselling couple who I really enjoy, and I think that they've given me a different way of looking at reselling, so I quite appreciate that. So they're very good as well, but there are loads of others. There are loads of people doing it part-time just as a side hustle, and people that it is their full-time income, so there are plenty of those as well. I think is it Ricky Resells or Reseller Ricky? I've just discovered him the other day, so it's worth checking them out. It's something you can do, particularly if you're a parent, particularly if you're a single parent maybe, and it's hard to get childcare. By the time you've paid for childcare, it's not worth going out to work. So if you can do it around that, Pound Girl Reseller is a single mum who absolutely does a brilliant job with her reselling. She doesn't do so much YouTube now, she used to. Now you will find her on Instagram, Cheryl. She's really funny and she's very good. Don't watch her if you mind swearing. She's quite sweary, so I don't really mind that. So yeah, there's lots of inspiration out there and advice if you do want to think about maybe reselling, or retail arbitrage is the other thing. Some people do. They actually go and buy new things. They source new things to sell. So some people go and you see them doing great hauls on TK Maxx and even just in the sales at places like Tesco's. You know, people go and buy new stuff and they flip it for a profit, normally on Amazon. I've never done Amazon. It doesn't really appeal to me. So I don't have lots of books and media either and that kind of thing. So I tend to stick to eBay, but then of course you also got Vinted, which is not supposed to be for professional sellers, but I know that quite a lot go on there. I only sell bits and pieces that have been hanging around a long time and my own stuff on there. They are going to bring in a pro version for business sellers soon, so I'll probably have a look at that seriously when it comes out. But Depop is another one. I know a lot of people have success on there. It's something I did try for a bit, but I just didn't do very well on there. I think it depends what you're selling. And Etsy. So Etsy is something I am currently exploring again for my vintage collectibles. So if you are selling your own crafts and that kind of thing, you can look at Etsy. It's a good platform. So that is another one actually. Selling your own crafts. I don't know people directly who do that, but you see a lot of Etsy sellers who clearly have made their own stuff and they're selling their own stuff on Etsy, and it's a really good place to go. And I think they sell it as like premium as well because people expect to pay a bit more for handmade things, and that's where they will go to look. So that's the first and kind of the second. It's turned into two, didn't it? So let's move on to my third suggestion for an idea to quit the 9 to 5. So another thing that I have explored and kind of given up on recently, I mean, I still do it, but it's not the main focus of my attention now, and that is blogging. I did it for quite a number of years. I really enjoyed it. I do like writing. So this channel came as a result of my blog, actually, shoestringcottage.com. And I was writing about the sort of things that I talk about now. So just being thrifty and saving money and occasionally making money. So I did actually do all right on the blog, but you really have to be at it all the time. And I found because I was doing lots of other things, I've kind of gone off the boil a little bit, as I say, because you have to be consistent. So you have to write consistently, then you'll build up a readership, and then you can be looking at options such as advertising. So I have advertising on my blog. I know some people are driven mad by adverts, but I think you've got to accept that if you want people to create content, then they're not going to do it for nothing because people need to earn a living. So I have adverts on my blog. That was a big step when I could get onto, it's a company called Mediavine, and they actually pay quite well. So, but it is dependent on views. So when I was really working at it and really doing well, I could make £1,000 a month, and people earn a lot more than that on Mediavine. But as I say, I've gone off the boil, so it's gone down to a couple of £100 a month now. So you do need to give it some time. You have to look at things like your SEO, and you have to, look at what Google's doing all the time. I didn't understand half of that, so I wasn't very interested in that either, to try and keep, people coming and keep the advertisers happy and that kind of thing. But you can also get sponsorship. So I've got a sponsored post I have to write this weekend actually, but you can get paid quite a lot for sponsorships, but they do want to see you've got the audience there, and they've got to be an engaged audience. So you don't just want people looking at it and not spending time reading through the articles. They have to spend time on your site and be really engaged, and it takes a lot of work, but it is really fun. I did enjoy it. There are some costs involved. You could start off completely free I did with a WordPress blog, but when you want to get serious about it, you do need to start looking at hosting fees. It's not massive though, you don't have to spend an awful lot. And then the design of your blog, I spent a little bit on a theme, and it improved the look of it and looked how professional it looked and that kind of thing. So you have to post consistent, good material. So you can't just write just rubbish, because people want to come to you as an authority on whatever you're writing about. And there's often a lot of competition. You need to look at social media and use social media to promote your blog as well. So there's lots of things to consider, but there are some good books and resources out there about blogging and how to make money doing it. It's an option. I started doing that. I still do it, but say I'm not taking it as seriously as perhaps I could do. So it's something I'm keeping on the back burner for now. So another thing that I have known people to do is teaching English as a foreign language online. So you can do it in person, of course, but if you want to do something from home, then you can teach online. And I do know that some people used to do it and could teach English to Chinese students. So you would actually have people in China, and you were teaching them English as a foreign language. But I know that the Chinese brought some rules in, and they wanted Chinese native speakers. So I don't think that's such a lucrative market now. I don't do this, so I just heard that from someone else. If you do it and you know more about it, then please do let me know in the comments. But you can still, there's still lots of opportunities. So particularly if you're a graduate, there are lots of agencies you can sign up to. And even if you're not a language graduate, you know, if you're a graduate and you've got a good standard of education, you can start to offer your services to teach lessons to students, adults or children in different countries. It's something that is quite a potentially lucrative thing to do, and you can do it around childcare and that kind of thing if you need to. You could also consider making money from your spare room, and there are various ways you can do this. So if you live in quite a touristy area, you could perhaps rent out a room in your house as an Airbnb venue. So you can offer breakfast or not, and you can offer bed and board basically to people that want to come to visit, and that can be quite a good thing to do. Obviously you have to keep your space very clean and you have to have a high standard, and you're reliant on good reviews from people. The other way you can make money from a spare room that we have done is to take in a lodger. We did that for probably 4 or 5 years, and I really enjoyed it actually, especially as Justin's not always here. So once the girls had moved out, having a lodger was quite nice. It was like still having one of my girls here. So we tended to have female students, and they weren't all students, but they were younger females, and they came and they were my lodger, and I was their kind of surrogate mum in some cases. Doesn't have to be that kind of arrangement. You might be a professional person and you might have another professional person in your home. So it worked well for us. I think you have to be quite tolerant and willing to share your space. I quite enjoyed it. Having said that, I quite enjoy not having that now. So it really made a big difference to our income. So it's something you could consider. A further way we've made money from our spare room is to take in foreign language students. So this is another thing you can do to help you avoid doing the 9 to 5. It's not full time though. It can be quite long term. We had one girl from Africa, from Guyana, I think she was from. She came for 6 months and stayed with us. So she lived with us, and we had to cook meals and provide meals for her, and she became kind of one of the family for a bit. But we, generally speaking, had people from between 1 week and 3 weeks, and they tended to be quite young people, 16, 17, 18. We had a whole load of French engineers for a while that were all in their mid-20s to 30s. They were interesting as well that came. And it was really fun. I really enjoyed that. I think we all did actually. We met people from all over the place. We're friends still with some of them all these years later on Facebook, and we talked to them. And my daughter's friends with one girl from Italy, I think I mentioned that before, who came to see us several times just as a friend after that, because they made really good friends. And that was, you know, it was nice. It was a good experience. So there's lots of organisations that do that. We were lucky enough to have a language teaching college that specialised in this and was always looking for host families in our town. But there are also other organisations that maybe don't have a base in your town, but they still run courses from time to time, and we did that as well. So that's well worth looking into. It's not full-time income, as I say, but alongside other side hustles, it can be a useful bit of extra money and interesting too. So another way I have made money, I'm not doing it currently, but I have made money in the past, is through teaching yoga. And you don't have to be a yoga teacher, but you could earn money through teaching your hobby. It doesn't matter what your hobby is really. You could be an artist, or you could be a crafter, or you could be, I don't know, maybe you're an expert in car maintenance. There are lots of options that you can look at and see what you can teach other people. So you could be a potter or a gardener. You know, there are courses you can do through your local education centre, or you could set up courses yourself. You create the venue and have to do your own marketing, or you might find that there are centres in your town where they kind of focus on courses. So you could look at doing courses, teaching other people to do what you enjoy doing, and they can either do it as a hobby or they might want to go off and do it professionally. So I taught yoga for many years, probably about 10 years, and I really did enjoy doing it. It wasn't massively lucrative. I did consider going to do the training so that I could teach people to become yoga teachers, but in the end that didn't work out, and that would have been a little bit more lucrative. So there's other ways you can turn your hobby into some sort of course. Some people do online teaching as well. I know a lot of bloggers who actually teach how to blog by doing online courses. So there's various other options as well when you start to look into it. So think about your skills and talents, any particular hobbies that you really enjoy doing that you think you could teach, or anything you've done professionally that you think you could pass on to people, and see if there perhaps is a way that you could make money doing those. Another one of my hustles that I did for a little while, I did for about a year actually, was cleaning, house cleaning. And the reason I did that was because during COVID, we kind of lost our lodger and we were moving house. So we didn't want to get another lodger in. And I just wanted to fill that gap in my income. So I looked at house cleaning and I joined a couple of agencies and I got a couple of regular clients. And in the end, I was only doing it twice a week. I think sometimes I was doing deep cleans at the weekend for people as well when they were moving house, maybe moving in or moving out. And I didn't expect to enjoy it, but I did enjoy it. And the clients I worked for were really nice. So I was quite lucky in that respect. I just say I didn't think I would really like it. It was regular money, and that's the thing, it was regular money, but also it was quite flexible. So if there were some days where, I don't know, perhaps my dad had a hospital appointment because my dad was quite poorly then when I was doing it, I could say to them, do you mind if I come Wednesday instead of Thursday? And they were very flexible like that. So it's something worth considering. It doesn't pay massively. I think in this area I charged £12 to £15 an hour, but it was useful extra income. So you could consider house cleaning. You can do it yourself or you can join an agency. You earn a little bit more if you do it yourself, but it's easier to get the work if you join an agency. Something else that I did in a very small way when I was blogging was to be a VA for other bloggers. That's a virtual assistant. So I'm particularly looking at it from the point of view of working for bloggers, but there are lots of other virtual assistant opportunities. You don't have to just do it for bloggers. So I was doing things like rewriting blog posts and making them better to bring traffic, maybe improving photographs and that kind of thing, and also looking at sharing on social media. So and maybe doing the social media, so you could do a social media for a blogger. But so I looked at it, I approached it from that, but I also know that through companies like Upwork and Fiverr and I'm trying to think what the other ones were, People Per Hour, there are lots of virtual assistant jobs where you are perhaps doing something more like a PA would do. You're doing admin tasks and answering phones and those kind of things. So depends on what your experience is. There are opportunities to do that, and this gives you flexibility because they tend not to be standard hours. You tend to be able to make your own hours. So have a look at virtual assistant opportunities. So those are the main things that I've done or that I know that other people do. But there are always other little bits and pieces that you can do to make money. Something else I do is I look out for opportunities to do surveys or market research. So some of these are really badly paid. Some of them are really irritating because you have to do a load of screening questions and they might take you 5 or 10 minutes and then you get screened out. But there are some good ones. I would say YouGov is one that I stick to. I don't get lots and lots from them. It's not something that's really a dramatic source of extra income, but I am just about to hit the £50 payout now. So they maybe offer me one or two a fortnight, maybe one a week, and sometimes I've not done them, and now I'm trying to, because I'm so close to my £50 payout, I'm trying to do them as they arise. So it's not a quick fix. But it's something that, if you've got a few minutes here and there in your lunch hour or whatever, you can check, see if you've got surveys, and you can make a little bit of extra money over time. And the other one that I found is quite good, but you have to keep right on top of it, is Prolific Academic. They pay reasonably well. I mean, I've earned sort of £10 from a survey before. That takes about 45 minutes though, but it is something you can sit and do. Maybe it might take 30 minutes. Sometimes they'll only offer you a couple of pounds for doing a survey, but if you do them regularly, £2.50, £3.50, 50p even, here and there, it does all add up. The other day, I just actually cashed out nearly £25 that had been sitting there that I'd forgotten about actually, that I'd built up. So you can build money up, but it's not going to make you a huge amount of money. And what I found now is that I don't look at my laptop enough. So when I was sitting at a desk and I could see the notifications coming up. I could jump on and get those surveys. Now, if you don't jump on them, pretty much within 5 minutes, the spaces have all gone. So it's something to consider. There are lots of others as well. So have a search around the internet. Have a look for reviews where people say, yes, they pay out promptly. And whether the surveys, you're likely to get screened out before you even get started, because I say that's quite irritating. Prolific don't do that. They'll only offer you surveys that you've been pre-screened for, and they tend to be quite interesting as well. Both of those survey sites I've mentioned, they tend to be quite interesting because Prolific, you're working with academics and researchers at universities and some big companies, and they want an intelligent response, and they'll ask you intelligent questions, so they're kind of interesting from that point of view. And I found with YouGov as well, sometimes I've taken part in surveys and the results have been on the news a week or so later, where people have, looking at it from the point of view of making policy. So maybe the government has commissioned that research. So I've had lots of queries and questions around COVID, for example, and the NHS, and whether I like the current government and the current Prime Minister and those kind of things. So it's kind of interesting from that point of view. But there are others too. It's not going to make you a lot of money at all. And the time, if you actually put the time, how much you earned an hour, it would be very, very low. But, worth considering. So it's editing Jane has just popped in here to ruin the flow of the video to say I completely forgot to mention taxes. So I have to keep a record of all of my income and all of my expenses. And then every year I have to submit a tax return, and then I get a tax bill. So you can't do this and do it in a vacuum. You do still have to contribute. I also pay my national insurance stamp still. So I'll do that until I get my state pension, I guess. So you still have to factor those things in when you're looking at how much you need to earn, and know that you do have to pay your taxes. However, having said that, I get, everything I spend on stock for eBay, for example. If I spend money on the blog, and I do have to for hosting, I have a monthly hosting bill, that all comes out of my expenses, and obviously that you don't then have to pay tax on that. So I do them myself. The first year I did employ an accountant because I just was a bit bemused. I'd never done it before and befuddled. And then I realised it wasn't actually that difficult in my instance, because what I'm doing is not that complex. So just thought I'd better insert that into my video, and on with it. So those are some of the ideas and some of the things that I've done to allow me to quit the 9 to 5 and make money from home, doing my own hours and being flexible and that kind of thing. If you've got any others, please do share them in the comments below. If you look on my blog, there are other ideas as well, that I've got other bloggers and other people that I've come across to write me an article to show what they do and how they make money. So there are lots of different gigs, they call it the gig economy, don't they, that you can look at to make a bit of extra money or to make a complete income. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, don't forget to give me the thumbs up, and do subscribe and hit your notifications bell so you know each time I upload a video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.